Hey everyone, this is Dawn. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm glad you're here. Today I'm going to show you how to make a card using the pumpkin thin cut along with a bunch of stamped images to create an embellishment cluster. Okay, so I'm going to use stamps from the crispair scrapbooking, Enjoy These Moments, which is the stamp of the month, and then also autumnair. Okay, so I'm going to use papers from crispair and also the crispair coordinating cardstocks. All right, so I'm going to start out by cutting the pumpkin. So I've got a piece of scarlet cardstock. This is the dark side of scarlet, and I'm going to run this pumpkin through. And what I'm looking for is the outline. All right, so I'm going to run it through 2 more times so that I can stack that outline to give it some dimension. All right, so we'll run this through a few more times. You can save those pieces that are inside to create another pumpkin for another card. But right now I just want the outline. And then I'm going to use the light side of paprika and I'm going to run the pumpkin through again. And this time I'm going to save the inside pieces. So we're going to put this pumpkin together kind of like a puzzle. All right. And then I'm going to use just the top of that pumpkin. I'm going to run it through with pine so I can create the stem. All right, so I'm just pulling out this teensy tiny piece that's going to fit in the stem of the pumpkin. All right, we'll get the die cut machine out of the way and we can start working on the pumpkin. So I have an old Cricut mat that I've cut up, and I'm just going to stick this pumpkin outline to the Cricut mat, and then I'm going to assemble the pumpkin. All right. And then I'm going to bring in a small blending brush and I'm going to use paprika ink, and I'm going to blend ink to create some shading and detail on my pumpkin. All right, so I'll speed this up in a second. So I'm just going to lay down some ink around the outsides of those lines, and you'll see the pumpkin start to take shape. Give it some shading and shadows and details, and it'll take shape and look a little bit 3-dimensional there. Pretty cool, huh? Just add some ink. All right, pumpkin's all done, and now I'm going to layer the scarlet outline, and I'm just going to stack them. So I'll stack the first one and then I'll skip ahead. So I'm just using a needle tip glue, and I'm just going to glue them together and stack them up. So you can make as many layers as you want, or as thick as you want, but I think 3 is good. All right, so now we have our outline. Our pumpkin's all done. And then we can do some stamping. Okay, so I have these flowers from the crispair scrapbooking and also some leaves. And I'm going to use this flower image with peach ink on white daisy cardstock. And then the center of the flower I'll stamp in papaya. And then the very center I'll stamp in mocha. I'll layer up that stamped image and it creates a pretty flower. Okay, and then this berry image I'm going to stamp in mocha. This is from the autumnair collection. And then later on I'll be coloring in the berries. And then I've got some pine cardstock, and I'm going to stamp tone on tone these leaves also in pine ink. And then a couple of these other leaves. Okay. And then off camera, I will cut everything out with the coordinating die cuts. All right, so skip ahead. I have all my images here cut out and ready to go, and we can start creating the base for the card. So I have this piece of crispair pattern paper, and I'm going to cut that at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then the sapphire pattern paper from crispair, I'm going to cut that down to 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. And then some white daisy cardstock. I thought I was going to cut that at 3 1/4, but I wanted more of that sapphire to show, so I'm trimming off 1/8 of an inch off each side. So I have a wider border of sapphire. Okay. So I'll flip my first mat over, and I have this leaf border that's from the September Stamp of the Month. I'm going to stamp that along the top using some paprika ink. And then I'm going to bring a blending brush in, and I'm using honey butter on this one, but you can use Sundance as well, which is a coordinating color. I just grabbed the honey butter. It's a little brighter. And I've just created a wash of color. And now I'm going to stamp my sentiment. So it says Happy Fall, and this is from the September Stamp of the Month. And I'm going to stamp that in sapphire. And from the crispair scrapbooking set, there are these paint splotches. You could use the shimmer brush and tap it out to create some splotches, but I'm just going to stamp it out in papaya ink around my sentiment. Went a little crazy there, but still looks okay. So, all right, now we can start building our card. I have an A2 card. It's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I'll just put everything down using some Tombow tape runner. And we'll just stack everything up. Got a lot going on with this card, so just gonna lay everything out with glue and tape runner. Okay, now I'm gonna create my embellishment cluster. So my pumpkin's gonna go on top, so I'm just tucking in all of my different elements underneath. You kind of have to envision what it's going to look like when it's filled in. So what will be seen and what will be hidden. Just kind of laying everything out. And then I'll skip ahead in a second. Okay, now I have everything glued down. And then I'm going to put that pumpkin outline down first on top of everything. And then I'll grab all the pieces from the pumpkin and fill them in like a puzzle. Thought I was going to use that other flower, but it turned out it was a little crowded, so I decided not to. So I'm just going to fill in all these pieces from the pumpkin. Still trying to use the flower. Not going to work. I'll save it for another card. So I'll fill in all these pieces, and you'll see the pumpkin take shape. It's a fun thin cut to work with. And you could always use stickers from the crispair collection. This way I can get more cards using stamps. Okay, so there's my pumpkin all filled in. And for the last touch, I'm going to use a shimmer brush. First I thought I was going to use scarlet, but then I changed my mind and decided to use desert rose. And I'm going to fill in all these little berries with shimmer brush. Okay, and there's my finished card. So all these supplies are currently available in my online store. I'll make a list with links in the description below, and you can do some shopping. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it, and then you'll be able to find all of my videos. And thanks for watching.